that at a digital conference the internet would work. So it doesn't. So 90% of what I'm going to do today we're going to be able to cover. A little bit of it we're not going to be able to cover because the internet's down. Hello everybody. It is great to be here at OMMA Global. You know, this whole conference is focused on how people have changed and have accelerated the need for brands and marketers to be more active and participatory in their lives. That is exactly what we've been doing at Buick. Our focus for Buick is really about changing consumer perception. And we've started to do that and create market-moving results. The reason why it's so important for us to change perception of Buick is because it's a 100-year-old brand. Most people think of that 100-year-old brand as associated with one gas. Come on. Older people. Okay? And you know, we were really successful for a number of years. You know, somebody had a strategy back in the 1950s that the greatest generation was a terrific opportunity to go after. They were a huge demographic population, and we went after them and we courted their business. The problem is we didn't change, and so the perception of our brand is one that people have a very positive impression of. They say, my grandmother, my grandfather, my aunt, my uncle always had them and they were always pretty good cars. But it's just not for me. So every day we come to work focused on conquesting new business and changing the way people think about our brand. Now, some of you may know some of the successes that we've enjoyed already this year, and I'm proud to share that story with you today and talk about how we continue to push our marketing innovation and position Buick progressively in the marketing space. That's important because we want people to think of Buick as a progressive brand. And I know a lot of you were probably told by your parents when you were a child that you're the company you keep. The people you associate with and the things that you associate with say a lot about you. So for us, being progressive in the marketing space helps position us as a progressive brand and in an unexpected way for people. You know, and the success has really started to pay off, and I just hit the clicker and nothing happened. There we go. It's really started to pay off. We were the fastest growing major automotive brand in the country last year. We were named one of America's hottest brands by Ad Age. And it's continuing into this year. We just closed the month of February, and our retail business to retail customers was up 90% year over year. So that's over the year in which we were the fastest growing major automotive brand, and we were up another 90% this year. We don't think the work is done yet, but we're encouraged by the promise that we see in front of us today. First and foremost, it all comes from building great cars. Without great cars, we're nowhere, okay? And we set a course a couple of years ago to completely reinvent the brand from a product standpoint, to build cars for people that were younger, and to put the characteristics and the content in those vehicles that appeal to those customers, to basically create a new generation of luxury cars for a new generation of luxury buyers. And it quickly became apparent that our product development guys got it right. And they were very successful in delivering us a really great world-class portfolio of products, some of which are on sale today, like the LaCrosse, the Regal, and the Enclave, and we've got several more coming over the next couple of years. So the challenge for me and my team was to showcase it to consumers and change brand perception and to continue to innovate in our marketing programs. You know, part of that innovation was really, this clicker is not working. There we go. Part of that innovation was to change our core principle as a marketing organization. We now talk about a participatory culture. We recognize that consumers have moved from shopping to investigating, from being sold to being heard, from patience to impatience, from one voice to certainly many voices, and from loyalty to promiscuity. This behavior is challenging the roles of marketing and brands, and the winners will be companies that embrace a participatory culture. For Buick, we started doing this by creating rich brand content experiences through a variety of channels and experiences. This brought consumer participation into the brand building experience. We wanted to reach new audiences that would love the Buick brand, people who embraced innovation, early technology adopters, people who were talking online and influencing conversations. It was this shift and the way we approached our brand communication that led us to build an entirely new marketing ecosystem that became active and engaging in people's lives, and it was based on three principles. One, to be a brand that people talked about. 2, to be a digital storytelling brand inside new forms of digital entertainment. And 3rd, to be early marketing technology adopters. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
It used to be that brands put out a message, and we consumers either bought it or we didn't. Gone are the days of passive media spectatorship. Now, we have a newfound ability to participate. We engage. We create. We adapt. We live in a world that's forever in beta, with more devices than ever, connecting us faster than ever. It's transforming every relationship we have in our lives. So while we click, watch, mash, share, rant, comment, and share again, we expect everybody to be as responsive and active as we are. The brands who embrace this participatory culture become the brands we can't live without.
So that's participatory culture, and that really drives everything that we look to do in all of our efforts. I'm going to try the clicker again. Okay. To take hold of this participatory culture, we created a program that moved beyond just communicating product advantages. A lot of people in the automotive space are really hung up on, you got to tell them about the car, you got to tell them about the car, and you got to tell them some more about the car. We wanted to be part of the conversation, and we wanted to get people talking. And you know what? We can't just be a one-sided conversation and just tell them about our cars and expect them to engage. So knowing that the Buick Regal was a winner, we created a campaign that was real, honest, and most importantly, was transparent. One that would expose all public opinions, both positive and negative. So we did a site where we let anybody say anything, provided it wasn't some kind of objectionable content, both positive and negative about our cars. We thought that was important, that we'd be honest and transparent in everything we did. You know, a participatory brand is one that understands how to harness these brand champions. Think about it. If you like a movie, you recommend it to a friend. You like a book, you talk about it. All of this form is really the most persuasive form of marketing at all. A recommendation from one trusted friend to another. And for a brand like Buick, targeting a new audience with this type of conversation is critical, since our share of this new audience still remains relatively low. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you want to walk down the street and you want to ask your neighbor about their Audi, you probably have a neighbor that has an Audi, okay? And in a lot of markets, in places like San Francisco, for example, we don't have a, you know, we're just starting to grow our business here. And so that passive word of mouth that you get from neighbors and friends doesn't really exist within their communities. And so, you know, harnessing that in a digital community is really important for us. You know, a personal endorsement within a real community, and that message can spread faster, more concisely, and to more people than it would ever have with just simple water cooler chat. We also know that immediately after a test drive, and even more so after someone has bought, is the optimum time for us to leverage brand champions or brand advocates. You're never more excited about your new car than immediately after you bought the car and you got to slip behind the wheel as an official owner. We wanted to make sure that we were capturing these real moments that affect the ripple of influence. And it doesn't get more real than themomentoftruth.com. We merge social, creative, and technology. The site aggregates real-time social media and the blogosphere commentary for all mentions of the Regal, pulling content from YouTube videos, Flickr photos, Facebook, Twitter, automotive reviews, consumer blogs, live comments that people make on the site, and more. We created more than just a website. Themomentoftruth.com is a community of brand enthusiasts and spokespeople. Let's take a look.
performance-based, kick-ass type car, and I would never have expected a Buick to make a car like this.
You've got great control on the throttle through the steering, because the turbo does have that variable steering assist. Actually pretty high tech, considering the price point of the car.
So that's momentoftruth.com. A huge success for us, something that we're going to build upon and that we're going to look to grow across all of our vehicles that will support our future vehicle launches as well as the cars we have in market today. Now, okay, the next key to our overall marketing program was digital storytelling inside new forms of digital entertainment. We wanted to tell the Buick story in places where people were already going, like MSN, and to create participation in an innovative and fun way where people were already playing and engaging, like mobile advertising and games. Engaging participatory culture often means creating an experience, and we did this by connecting a new up-and-coming audience through our partnership with Buick MSN on the Rediscover site. This is the part where the internet doesn't work, by the way. This site is built around the exact kind of people we want to love Buick. They're adventurous, they're curious, and they love innovation. And what we looked at this to do was to actually create really engaging content for people to interact with. We come to work a lot of days now trying to figure out ways where we can create content that people want to engage with. And that's one of the asks that we have for a number of media companies in everything we do is how can we get joint ownership of the content so that we're not just an advertiser but we're a participant with that. So this site was perfect. It was a great slate for delivering rich, organic brand content, and it's ours. And it's not really heavy-handed. We didn't want to be ham-handed with this and be too over the top in terms of a product message. So we integrated our product into really great, compelling content for people to interact with. What the idea, basically, of Rediscover is it's a content platform where people can join tour guides, local experts in 12 different markets around the country to get an insider's look at their city. Places that maybe even if you live there, you don't know exist. Like the best place to get pulled noodles in New York. Okay? You may not know that even if you're a New Yorker, but there's some local experts that can help you do that. The guides provide a discovery of their cities and Buicks, making Buick a character in the video content. Notice I keep using the word discovery because one of the keys to us, we really believe in getting people to reappraise the way they think about Buick is discovering Buick and discovering where Buick is today. It's a fantastic site. It's like you're virtually riding in a Buick as you experience the excitement of discovering hidden treasures within cities like Chicago and Seattle, for example, and Napa Valley here locally. That connection furthers the notion that Buick is an exciting and young brand capturing an innovative, active audience. It's this type of storytelling that's helped shift the Buick brand perception. Let's talk about gaming a little bit. The next best thing to driving a hot car is driving one in a video game. It's fun, it's cool, and it grabs and attracts a young audience. We created this digital entertainment that can help bring product features to life. So it wasn't just about having fun, but it was about being able to tell a product message as well. We've worked to change brand perception by popping up in unexpected places and with surprising, engaging, and highly addictive content. There's 2 games that we've created to date. There's a Regal custom game that asks users to slingshot a Regal onto the road, and they must use the iPad or the iPod Touch or the iPhone's accelerometer to steer clear of any obstacles, thereby demonstrating how well the Regal handles every situation. So while it's not a real-world test drive, it does allow you to make a connection between this is a really great handling car, a car that we developed in Europe, for example. The lacrosse custom game was inspired by the classic Simon game and asked users to repeat a sequence of 4 flashing colors represented by the 4 tires of the lacrosse. The game highlighted the vehicle's stability track system, which is a stability control system that delivers power to the wheels when you need it. The results were fantastic. I mean, to be honest with you, we were really surprised by the results that we got. In a ComStore study that we did, we found that we got a 35% lift in purchase intent for the lacrosse. These games provided great user engagement and were the second key piece of our new marketing ecosystem driven through participation. Let's talk about tablets a little bit. We've done a lot there, and we're going to do a lot more with respect to tablets. I think you guys are doing this for me, so that's good. Okay, tablets. What defines young and more adventurous than early adoption of technology? We translated this in our marketing 2 ways. We were the first automotive brand to advertise in the Wall Street Journal at the launch of the iPad. and one of the first brands to pilot the use of Google goggles in advertising. Buick, rich media in the iPad, in-app integration with the Wall Street Journal launched the day the iPad hit, and hit the shelves of the iPad or the Apple stores, reaching a tech-savvy audience of early adopters. In-app advertising showcased the Buick through video and photos and was highly interactive and compelling, especially because the iPad was so exciting. We blew away our previous click-through benchmarks by over 150%. Now, by aligning our brand with new technologies, we proved once again that we're an inspired, progressive brand. You know, mobile is an area where we're spending, like a lot of you are, a lot of time, energy, and effort, because we come from a belief that everything's going to be mobile, and it's going to be mobile sooner than any of us can imagine. And so it has enormous implications for us, and you know, early technology adoption and developing that bench strength and capability within our team in the mobile space, we feel is absolutely critical. Google goggles, which I'm not sure we had a slide on or not. No, let's go back. Okay. You know, Digitas, and Eric Amelia from our Digitas team here in Boston is sitting down in the front row, but they brought us together with Google on the launch of the latest, their latest mobile experiment for advertising, which is Google Goggles. We were one of the 5 national brands that participated in the launch of Google Goggles. For those of you that aren't familiar with what Google Goggles is, Google launched a visual search app that's available on iPhones and Android phones that allows users to take pictures of an object. And then using Google image recognition technology, it serves up related search results. Well, we applied the technology to the advertising for Buick ads, and Digitas created not just, take you to Buick.com, we created custom digital mobile experiences for a national print campaign. We did it last November and December, and we even leveraged it in some on-site activations we did in the Wired store that we partnered with in Manhattan, and with the Out 100 that we sponsored in Manhattan as well during the fall of last year. So that's another thing, you know, that we look to partner with progressive companies, is like being involved with the Wired store in New York. Okay, so it even permeates our event strategy and the things that we want to do there in terms of being progressive. And we found a really cool way to make ourselves relevant in a technology store. Where we gave users the opportunity to get in the car, they pushed an iPhone, and what fired up was a 12-minute run around, narrated run around the Nürburgring, which is the world's most prolific race course in Germany. So the goggles, you know, it focused on the Regal, and these mobile, you know, experiences showcase content and imagery, as well as locate a dealer and sign up for more information. So we got all the business done as well that we needed to get done. The goggles experiment moves people across channels and gives consumer a deeper, richer engagement with the brand. It is a technology that we plan to use in more places beyond just advertising as we go forward. More and more consumers are using visual search to learn about the world around them, and they're finding new ways to deliver the most relevant and meaningful content as the offline and online worlds really collide and merge. Buick is changing brand perceptions by innovating new campaigns in unexpected ways and places. Okay, just to kind of wrap up here. We need to be active. We need to listen, and we need to engage with consumers. We need to provide them with content, the access and the information they need when they need it. We need to participate. That drives us every day. We were successful because we brought community conversation together, we engaged with consumers in new ways to tell our story and to gain new participants. And we became early adopters ourselves. And we got phenomenal results. It certainly wasn't luck, and it certainly didn't happen overnight, and it certainly, you know, the book hasn't been completely written yet. We still are coming to work every day hard to keep driving this business. Our marketing needed to move beyond just communicating product advantages and to become more interesting for people to engage with. We had to embrace the changes in media and technology that were happening both in advertising and the automotive industry. And it was an ecosystem of marketing programs coming together that really affected perception change. It was embracing participatory culture and making the Buick brand active in people's lives that drove our success. Thank you. Any good questions?
Yeah, we have a couple of minutes actually, so we can open up for a couple of questions if there's any questions from the audience, and there's a lot. All right, we'll start right here.
Ralph Paglia with Tier 10 Marketing. Very impressive, Craig. Thank you for the great presentation. I'd like to ask if there's any effort from your team's part to roll this down through Tier 2 and Tier 3 as far as engaging consumers at the point of fulfillment, namely the local dealer level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of, like the idea around moment of truth, okay? We're focused solely on building conquest business, okay? The loyalists, we know how to treat the loyalists, the people that have bought 7 Buicks from us, we know how to do that, okay? But at the retail level, I personally think that it's much more powerful, instead of the salesperson telling you it's a great car, for the salesperson to say something like this. There's this site called momentoftruth.com, and while Buick sponsors it, the content is basically driven by other people. Why don't you go on there and why don't you ask Enclave owners or LaCrosse owners or Regal owners what they think of their cars? I think that's the future for us, is to be able to do that. That's much better. So yeah, we absolutely see a need to do that. And we've done some things with Tier 2, but there's more work to be done, both on a retail and on a local dealer level. Good question.
We have another question over here.
Andy Wheatland, Huffington Post. Great presentation, beautiful cars. And I was very impressed how you aggregated Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all these different social elements. The one thing that I'm curious about is in 2011 and 2012, instead of forcing people to go to the moment of truth and spending money on media to drive traffic there, have you thought about taking that content and more aligning with consumer behavior, pushing it out in rich media units or microsites that can actually go across the web so you get more interaction and better reach?
Good question. Yes, we see an opportunity to distribute the content. We also, we set it up as a completely freestanding site around a freestanding idea. Believe it or not, what it was born out of was actually an advertising idea that we had that we didn't end up executing, but we thought it was such a terrific idea and made a ton of sense in the digital space. But we absolutely want to incorporate some of this content into Buick.com as well, but we also see an opportunity to distribute that content as well. I think it's a great question.
We got one more question right here.
Hi, Elizabeth Shaw with Forrester Research. I think the Moment of Truth is actually an incredible site, and I'm writing a doc around that concept right now. I'd love to hear from you two things. One, the checks and balances that you had in place for curating the content, if you did it all, going back to what we all remember Skittles doing doing their Twitter stream a couple years ago. So how at all, if you were curating the social content that was being streamed to your site, in addition to, you said it's a website, but did you use a content management system, or what type of platform, or what was the technology around the Moment of Truth? I'd be curious.
Erica might be able to help me with the technology. We use a company called This Moment that helped us do that. In terms of curating content, I mean, one of the things that we're always trying to do is promote conversation. But what we were basically doing was aggregating content. So if you look at the site, there's what other people are saying, it's what the experts are saying, it's what we're saying, and it's all segregated into different areas within the site that you can interact with. What we actually did for the what others are saying is we actually pulled that content in directly from Facebook, directly from Twitter, and users are also able to input a comment directly on momentoftruth.com. For the expert, for the expert reviews and things like that, we brought that content in from third-party sources, and we thought it was important that we actually be able to link back to that content as well to add credibility. So if it was a Motor Trend or a Car and Driver talking about the car, as opposed to us just curating that content there. Did that answer your question?
Well, I guess how would you? What if somebody says something negative about Buick?
We put it on. If somebody wanted to say Buicks are a piece of junk, it's on there. If somebody said something that was inflammatory, or for all the if it was a swear word, or if it was racially charged, or if it was something that was objectionable content that we wouldn't want to associate with, that was different. But in terms of auditing what people said, it was we felt that it was absolutely tantamount that we be transparent.
Well, good for you. Very ballsy.
And since we just ended on the word ballsy, I think we should give a nice round of applause to Craig. And